when we do our IT strategy assessment and we see like all this, the score is 20 out of 100, it's terrible. And then as part of our analysis, when we're analyzing all the information, we are also looking at if we do find that we're a good fit for this organization's problems and complexities and infrastructures, and they do choose to go with us, what does that score look like right after we're done reaching the Covi standardized baseline? And more often than not, we're in the 80s or 90s. And that's not how it always was back in the early days, but in the past 5 years or 4 years, it has been a significant change. And we've had a few organizations that were a lot more mature in their IT journey, where it was less impactful. It was more of like a 50 to 80 than a 20 to 80. But I've had one where I like a one-liner in most of my assessment response sessions, where it's like, hey, this looks really bad. It almost always does for an organization at the stage of the game that you're at. And just realizing it's almost like the opposite of sticker shock. That like there's this like panic of like, oh, we are about to just die from a technology perspective. And I'm like, no, you just have a lot to do. And it for people who don't do it all day, every day, it's really hard. But for us, it's like 1 to 3 months. And then we get into the customized portion of it, which is, okay, where can we implement some type of automation that can enable your sales team to focus on their calls instead of putting things into a system? Or in our case, where our service desk technicians can execute the help that is being asked of them from clients instead of reviewing 13 different locations and places of documentation for what's appropriate for coverage and what's going to generate an invoice, and then whether or not we're going to care if it generates an invoice. So now we have billing automation and clarity in coverage for clients, and we have a help desk that can take a phone call and immediately empathize and go to work. And that is fun to see how our intense amount of effort and by the skin of our teeth hanging on to our creativity while being overwhelmed and over capacity has been able to generate that internally for us while we were doing it externally for clients, and how that information and knowledge and experience and expertise feeds off of each other. So we get better because we help our clients get better. And then like, it's just a cycle of, oh, now we can implement this for us. Oh, now we can have that for all of these organizations. Oh, there's this really new, weird, challenging puzzle at this in this architectural firm that we've never seen before. Oh, that we can expand that knowledge to all of our architectural adjacent clients. But also, this also applies to marketing companies in this way. And this applies, oh, at Covi, now we can do this instead of what we were doing before. And that will allow Cody and Luke to show up to meetings without an hour of prep. It'll be 15 minutes of prep. And so now we can do our meetings in person instead of virtually sometimes, which allows us to interface with more people, which allows us to find more problems to solve. And as the sales leader, I hate to say this, but a lot of times those problems are problems that don't generate extra invoices. So they are just problems because they didn't know to ask us to help them, and we didn't know they existed. Or if it's a newer client and they've had bad experiences in the past with IT resources, whether outsourced or not, they might not tell us because they're afraid it's going to cost a lot of money. And we haven't developed that trust yet to where it's like, hey, we're going to tell you it's going to cost a lot of money, not just surprise you with it. And then we're going to help you evaluate whether it makes sense to invest in it or not. So that entire symbiotic ecosystem is another thing that gives me a lot of energy. And it's why going from internal meetings to client meetings and coming back, which used to be probably the most taxing part of my job, is one of the most energizing parts of my job.